Welcome back, everyone. I am excited to bring another video to you, and this is basically a sequel to the last video because I got so much feedback on that last video. I'm going to show you real quick. No, not that over here. Okay. So this video is called Trump in the USA, What is QAnon Telling Us About America? Because when I did my last one on this mysterious Q, I got so many incredible comments, and people were asking, like Julie Robb asked, why are these people insane? How can so many people be insane? How can civilization continue to exist when so many people are insane? And so she asked if metaphysics had something to say about this. And actually, I heard that quite a lot in the comments. And I really appreciate when you're all sharing this with me, because I need to know what's going on in your minds. When I give you this information, I want to know, how does this impact you? What does it bring up in you? And what do you hope for America? Because I want to have my channel be like an interactive communication, like we're building community here. And I want to know what you're thinking and feeling and what you're wanting to know from me in my videos. So, so I just want to let you know how much I tremendously appreciate all the comments I get, because it helps me sort of take the pulse on the community that I'm building here with my channel. So, okay, there's something else here I want to show you. And so let me go switch over to that. Okay. So this has to do with Neptune, and I'm going to show you the chart that goes along with this. All right, so this is about Neptune and Pisces. And Neptune moved into Pisces in 2012, and it will be there until 2026, which also happens to correspond to Uranus's move through Taurus. And so these two things are actually going to work together. And so I'm going to show you that in the chart. But the first thing I wanted to explain is that Neptune takes 164 years to go through the zodiac. And the last time it was in Pisces was 1848 to 1862. And the American Civil War was a war fought in the United States from 1861 to 1865. So you notice that at the end of the Neptune transit through Pisces, the last time corresponded to the beginning of the American Civil War. See how they overlapped there? And I think there's really something to that. And since we have Neptune in Pisces again, and we're seeing this division in our country, I really want to explore this, because I think there's something really important here to understand, and something important that we can do about this. So this is all about cycles and the spiral of consciousness expansion. So I want to take you to something else here that will help you to understand. Let me share that with you. Alrighty, so this is called spiral dynamics. This is a map of consciousness expansion. And so I just want you to understand that consciousness does actually expand. So it's not like we're just repeating the same thing over and over again in these cycles. We're actually making progress, believe it or not. So the thing to understand is that there's a core consciousness. And so we have to look at where we are in the United States. And I think we're actually here in the United States. And so I'm going to talk about what that means. But when we were in the Civil War, we were actually back here. And the problem is that, see, when our consciousness expands and evolves, we don't all evolve at the same time. It's more about the core consciousness. It's more about what they call the 100th monkey. When you reach this collective consciousness and a critical mass, that's the core consciousness. So understand that all these different levels of consciousness are existing at the same time, but what matters is, where is the critical mass? And I believe it in our country, it's right here. But before, the last time we went through this cycle was here. So that's the thing to understand, is that we go through cycles. We pass through the same things over and over and over again. So I think the last time we had a civil war in this country, we were right here. And now we're cycling through it again, but this time we're here. So that's the thing about cycles, is that we do come around to them again and again and again, but each time we come to it again, we're at a higher, more expanded level of consciousness. So we have a new chance to revisit our shadow, okay? That's what this is all about. It's about shadow integration. So don't be afraid of this. I know it's natural for fear to come up. It's absolutely natural. But I want you to understand that we have the power within us to integrate this. So there's really nothing to be afraid of. In fact, it's an exciting opportunity. It's like the Chinese symbol for crisis equals danger and opportunity. And this is what we have here. We have a challenge coming up for us as a country, and we also have an opportunity to meet our shadow and to integrate our shadow and to become more powerful. And I'm not talking about power over other people. I'm talking about power with. I'm talking about an internal locus of control. And that's huge right now. That's what we're exploring in our country right now. So just please understand, we're up here now. The last time we did this, we were down here. And some people's consciousness in this country is still down here. It's the difference between domination and power and rules, order and authoritarian rules. So what's going on here is that it's a battle between these two. And this blue says who's right and who's wrong. What is truth? What is our collective truth? What is our shared reality? And power says, I don't care about the rules. I don't care about what's right and wrong. I just want power. And so hopefully no one will get offended by this, but the Confederates were actually down here because they did not want to obey the rules. And it largely had to do with slavery in this country. So one of the major changes that the Civil War brought was that it eliminated legal slavery. So we no longer have legalized slavery in this country. So that was blue. That was what Lincoln and everyone else who was really against legalized slavery, they said, we got to change this. It's not right. And we've got some new rules here. We've got a new idea about what's right and wrong. And the people who wanted to stay in that said, no way, we want power and we want domination over these people. And therefore we are going to fight you if you try to change the rules. So that's where the consciousness of our country was at right now. We're trying to shift from red, which was power over other people, domination over other people. We're trying to shift to blue and say what was right and what was not right and get some new rules. And so this was a growth and expansion in our consciousness, our collective consciousness as a country. But we had to battle it out when we got to this line of between red and blue. But we made it through. And we went through our Industrial Revolution, that's orange. And now we're up here at this level between orange and green. And so what that's telling us is that some people just want success. They don't care what's true. They don't care what's right. And we see that in the President of the United States right now, that truth doesn't matter. The order of law no longer matters. All that matters to him is success. You can do it from his attitude. You can do anything you want. This is toxic orange, actually. You can do anything you want as long as it brings success. So you can lie, you can cheat, you can steal, you can commit crimes, you can commit treason. As long as you get away with it, that's what all toxic orange cares about, is success at all costs. No rule of law anymore. But we're up here. Our consciousness is trying to move into green. And this is all about human relationships. And unfortunately, because we're moving again from one level of consciousness to another level of consciousness, we have this battle coming up. We have to reintegrate. We have to go look at our shadow stuff and reintegrate it here at a higher level of consciousness. So this is actually a really exciting opportunity. And I want you guys to see that. There's nothing to be afraid of. This is really a good thing. And also understand that because of the Neptune, which is purple. There's a lot of purple energy right now. This is the people who think that Donald Trump is their savior and they're waiting for the end of the world to come, for the second coming of Christ and all of this stuff. And they just want a strong leader because they have a lot of fear around Satan. I see that come up a lot from people who are on the right. You know, this insanity. This is a toxic Neptune. It sees Satan everywhere. It sees demons everywhere, and it just wants a powerful leader to bring a sense of security. So, and if we have financial problems in this country, if we have a weak economy, if we have high unemployment, unfortunately, people are their consciousness is going to retreat down to survival. And so what we need to do is we need to bring it up. And I'm going to show you that we can actually do this. So this is actually a really exciting opportunity. And it's really nothing to be afraid of. If you understand it, then you understand there's nothing to be afraid of. So I want to show you, let me bring you to the chart now, because I know since obviously this is a astrology channel, I want to show you the astrology that goes with this. Okay. So this is, I showed you this chart in my last video for March 6th. And the reason why I showed you this is because this is the new moon conjunct Neptune. So we're going to get a lot of this incredible, intense Neptune energy with this new moon. And on the very same day, Uranus moves into Taurus. And whenever a planet changes signs like Uranus, it's incredible. It like intensifies the power. The last time Uranus changed signs from Aries into Pisces, that was when the tsunami happened that slammed into Japan and caused the meltdown of Fukushima. So that happened when it changed signs. So the thing is, on this day, I'm going to predict. I hate to predict this, but I just feel like I have to tell you the truth, because partly is I don't want it to be a self-fulfilling prophecy, but at the same time, this is what I see. So I'm going to go ahead and predict this, that what this energy is going to bring, and it could bring it sooner or later, or it could bring it on this very day, March 6th, but I suspect it's going to bring a crash in the economy. So we'll have to see what comes with the other video that I showed you, because they were pointing to that time around between December 1st and December 7th when we have another new moon, that something may come up, something pretty intense. I don't know, but we'll have to watch. I kind of think this is where it's going to happen, is March 6th. Not what Q says, obviously. That's just a big fat fiction. But we are going to see issues around Neptune, because the new moon conjunct Neptune means that Neptune becomes even more intense, the energy. And it's the same day that Uranus is moving into the 4th house of the United States constitutional signing, which is our home. And it also happens to be Taurus. So that rules anything to do with finances, our material well-being, our economy, our currencies, our stock market, all of that stuff. So I think that we may see a crash. And a lot of people have actually been predicting that it's coming soon, because we need a reset, because there's an inflationary bubble. And that's what happens when the inflationary bubble gets too big, then it crashes and there's a reset. So keep that in mind, okay? And also the fact that this new moon conjunct Neptune is opposite Venus in our 8th house of, this is called joint resources. So this would rule all the joint resources in the United States. So that includes everything from our economy, the budget, allocations from all the taxpayer money. Where is that being allocated? The stock market, currencies, financial institutions, the federal banking system. All of these things are really going to come to the fore with Uranus moving back into Taurus, and then the 7 years that it will take to go through Taurus, which, as I said, corresponds with the transit of Neptune, because Neptune will transit until 2026, and same with Uranus. Uranus will take until 2026, so they will be corresponding. And I think that these things will actually work together, the energy of Neptune in Pisces and the energy of Uranus in Taurus. And if you haven't seen anything about Uranus and Taurus, well, I know I've done some videos on it in the past, so you can look back at that. But you can also just do a search for Uranus and Taurus, and you'll find tons and tons of videos and information and websites that explain what happens when Uranus is in Taurus and what happened the last time Uranus was in Taurus. So, but basically, it will impact everything to do with our financial well-being, our economy, our stock market, whether we have a good economy, unemployment, everything to do with that. Money, currency, everything. So that's going to bring around some profound changes. So the fact that this new moon conjunct Neptune is also opposite Venus. Venus rules Taurus. Venus rules everything to do with money, currency, financial well-being, stock markets, all of that stuff. And it's in the 8th house of joint resources. So the fact that it's opposite, I'm sadly predicting that there may be a crash. And also look at this. Mercury is doing another retrograde in Pisces, 29 degrees. That's a critical degree that represents a climax, some kind of crisis. So that's what I'm predicting. I don't want to make this prediction, but I think it's accurate, and we just need to get ready for it. So you need to get ready as an individual. Okay, so this is the issue here. It's both of them, both of these. But I think this is really the major issue that causes insanity and causes deceit, delusion. I feel like I've said it so many times. It's like, I hope you guys are getting this, okay? But I'll keep saying it. And again, put some comments under this video and let me know, like, are you getting this? Do you understand this? How do you feel about this? What do you think we should be doing as a country to deal with these things? Okay, so let me show you, I want to go back to this thing that I was starting to say. Now that you've seen the chart and you've seen the spiral of consciousness expansion, you understand we're coming around again to the same things that we were dealing with before, when Neptune was in Pisces and when Uranus was in Taurus. We're going to deal with these things again. It's coming around. This is the cycle. But we are at a higher level on the spiral of consciousness expansion. So we have a chance now to integrate, to heal, and to develop a greater sense of true power, not power over, but an inner locus of control, which I'll talk about a little bit more. Okay, so let me just say this again to make it very clear. Neptune is a planet of dissolution, mysticism, and spirituality. That's its light side. It's the planet of letting go of attachment to outcome, releasing, surrendering to a higher power, cosmic will, divine consciousness, whatever word you choose to use. The words don't matter. It's what is represented by the words. So it's all about surrendering to that higher power, which brings us into alignment with that power. And that's what we want. We want to be in alignment with spirit, power, providence, God, divinity, Christ consciousness, love, gratitude, and have these guide us. This is what we want. This is Neptune. And this is what we're going to have the opportunity to do now that we're at a higher level of consciousness. But we have to go back and integrate our shadow, okay? So as I said, unfortunately, there is also a shadow side to Neptune. Illusion, delusion, deception. Everything you hold on to with your petty ego turns out to be a lie, a drug, an escape. Deception, delusion, illusion, insanity, mental illness. That's the shadow side of Neptune. So we have to go back and we have to look at our shadow and we have to reintegrate it, because you cannot get the power from your shadow unless you integrate it. That's the thing to understand. Everything that people fear is just the shadow. When you push it away, when you won't look at it, you just create the shadow more. You make the shadow stronger. That's why we need to integrate and not be afraid of it. Bring it into our loving, open, compassionate hearts. As a friend of mine says, blast it with compassion. You know, embrace it with compassion. This is the way. So I also wanted to mention, like on YouTube, sometimes we get, or any kind of social media or the internet, we're getting caught in these reality bubbles, or what I like to call non-reality bubbles. And AI is contributing to us living in these reality bubbles. I like to call them Neptune's narcotic, narcissistic, non-reality bubbles, because what is happening is that we are getting caught in these reality bubbles, and they're narcissistic because what they're doing is they are reflecting back everything we think, everything we believe, we think we're right, and that those reality bubbles reflect it back to us. And unfortunately, this is actually part of Neptune's deception. Neptune is all about the hidden, and what we need to do is we need to dissolve those reality bubbles. We need to dissolve our own narcissistic reflection, okay? Open up, get above the, get above these reality bubbles. I'm just gonna show you really quick here. So let's say all these different people are in their reality bubbles. What we want to do is be up here and see, oh, these are just different reality bubbles. Instead of being stuck in a reality bubble, only seeing your own narcissistic reflection, you want to get up here. This is where spirit lives. This is where consciousness expansion happens, okay? So, so that's the thing to understand, because blue, and that's, you know, like I said, if we're looking at another, let me bring you back to this. If we're looking at another replay here at a higher level of consciousness, we have to integrate the shadow that's still down here. There are a lot of people still in this consciousness. We need to integrate that. So, so that's where the reality bubbles live. This toxic blue is all about I'm right, you're wrong, and they just want order and authority. That's why they actually like Trump. And we need to step out of that and move into this community that's above, and then even move up to yellow. Once we get through this, we can move up to yellow, which is integration. And we can do this as individuals. We don't have to wait. And another reason why this is important is because, let me bring you over here to go back to YouTube, because there are some really interesting videos that I've been watching. This is more about spiral dynamics. Spiral dynamics was used by Nelson Mandela to transition South Africa from apartheid to multicultural democracy. There are tons of videos. I'll put a link so you can understand more about spiral dynamics and yellow, which is where we're eventually moving to. And you as an individual can move there right away. You don't have to wait. And let's see if I can get you, I don't know if I can. Okay, so let's see here. I was going to show you, yeah, here it is. Power versus Force by David R. Hawkins is a book that talks about the fact that a wave, a higher frequency wave, and consciousness is a higher frequency wave, can actually neutralize lower frequency waves. So this is why it's important, because we need to raise the collective consciousness of our country, of our species, and also help to neutralize these lower frequencies of fear and shame, which is, you know, wanting, well, I guess I'll bring you back to that, because it's just such a powerful image. Let me show you that again. Yeah, I mean, if you've never heard of spiral dynamics, I highly recommend you look into it. It's incredible. And it's incredibly encouraging too. And it makes, everything just makes so much more sense when you can see how it's mapped out. And it's not about I'm better than you. In fact, yellow, which is the stage that we're really striving for, because that's the first integral level, it integrates all the levels below. So when you're in these levels below, you think that I'm good, these below me are wrong, they're bad. And actually what we want to do is move into yellow, where we integrate all of these below. We understand that every single one of them has an important value to contribute to the whole. So it's all about integration. And that's what we need to learn as a country and as a species. We really need to understand this thing about consciousness expansion and integration, integrating the shadow. All right, so let's see. I wanted to see if there's one more thing that I wanted to show you. I'll bring you back to this. Okay, so we talked about Neptune and the reality bubbles and how we need to look at our shadow and integrate our shadow. And the thing to consider is that any moment in history, there have been people who've lived perfectly peaceful lives separate from the chaos. Why is that so? I think it's because if you've already learned the spiritual lessons you need to learn, then you're guided by divinity, spirit, power, providence, God, higher power, supreme being, Christ consciousness. And I would say that at this time in our history, not just as a country, but as a species, this is a call for ascension. It's a call to raise your consciousness, you know, and understand there's really ultimately nothing to fear. If you can look at this and integrate it, there's nothing to fear. So it's testing us to see if we can keep love and compassion in our hearts as we move through these experiences. And remember, Einstein said we cannot solve a problem from the level of consciousness that created it. So it's all about consciousness expansion. And I wanted to share with you, if if you're looking for more ways to really raise your consciousness, I highly recommend Alan Watts' Still the Mind. I was just listening to it the other day. It starts out, he says, a person who thinks all the time has nothing to think about except thoughts. That's the reality bubbles of Neptune. So he loses touch with reality and lives in a world of illusions. Through excessive thinking, they have lost touch with reality, and this is a disaster. That's why we need to get out of the reality bubbles, or what I call non-reality bubbles, and see that there is actually a reality beyond all the bubbles, beyond all the different stories. That's where we want to get. That's where we want to get to in our consciousness. So I wanted to say that when I dip into the insanity, I realized that these human beings actually crave chaos. And I saw that in myself too. Like, you know, it's just something that we humans do. We look for an enemy. We almost crave the chaos. And that they need an enemy. Their amygdalas are running the show. The prefrontal cortex and other areas of the brain that rule higher thinking and empathy are not developed enough to calm their fears. They want a strong leader, and they want to turn their power over to that strong leader, which is an external locus of control rather than an internal locus of control. So what we want to do is we want to develop our higher consciousness, which, you know, the brain, the cortex, and the prefrontal cortex are the physical manifestation of that higher consciousness. They work hand in hand, and developing an internal locus of control to be able to connect with spirit and dust your link to spirit, clean your link to spirit, open your heart to this higher consciousness. You know, it's all about love. And even today, 30% of the population would accept fascist dictatorship. But that's, like I said, that's not as bad as it once was. We are actually evolving our consciousness, and we will get through this. I promise you, we will get through this. But we need to do our part. So I think part of what's happening too is that a lot of these people, which are probably white, are so terrified of losing their priority that they're willing to give up all their freedoms, civil liberties, privacy, and any kind of democracy we have just to feel safe. But they don't understand that that external locus of control, while it may help them feel safe for a short time, it's not ultimately, there's no safety in an external locus of control. There's only safety in an internal locus of control, which is where you connect to spirit, you know? I just want to say it over and over and over again because it's so important. So let me just check and see if there was anything else. I think there was one more thing I wanted to share with you, and apologies if this video is really long. It's just there's so much information to share. So this is a video called How and Why Germans Bought Hitler's Pitch. So if you really want to understand what's going on with that level of consciousness, which I'll show you that one more time because it is so amazing. If you want to understand what's happening down here, like I said, this is where you have people who see Satan everywhere, people who see demons everywhere, archons, lizards, all those kinds of magical, demonistic beings and energies. They see them around them all the time. I don't see those things because I don't live in that kind of reality. But they see these things all the time. And they see witches, demons, Satan, and they're looking for someone to protect them. They're looking for this power outside of them, external to them, which is God. I'm talking about like a finite God, like fear God, you know, God is our Father. He's going to take care of us, you know, listen to the Bible, you know, the Bible. And just like this really terrified kind of relationship to power, because it's external, because it's something to fear. And so then they look to this, you know, power, like Donald Trump kind of power, fascistic kind of power, to help them to feel safe, to help bring the sense of security. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. They need to move up here where we are moving into the green, which is all about building community, and integral, yellow, where we integrate all of these, and we're not afraid anymore because we have an internal locus of control, and we understand that each and every one of us are connected to spirit. Each and every one of us are connected to God, Christ consciousness, higher power, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes, we'll see down here, they're very caught up in what word you use. And if you use the wrong word, like if you call it spirit instead of God, oh my God, they freak out. They totally freak out, because for them, it's like, no, it's got to be this way. You can only talk about it this way. If you talk about it a different way, then that's wrong, that's bad, that's evil. And most of us up here understand that it has nothing to do with the word you use. It's the energy. It's the energy of love. It's the energy of Christ consciousness. It's that higher power, that divine consciousness that we can, each and every one of us, connect to. And that's our internal locus of control. We don't need to give it up to an external locus of control. We don't need to give it up to the priests and the bishops and the popes and the Bible. There's some really interesting esoteric teachings in the Bible, but a lot of the Bible is all about domination. And people want to read it in a literalistic way, and they think that's the only way you can read it. But that's because they're down here at this lower level of consciousness, and we're moving up here. As a country, we're right here. We're shifting from orange to green, and then as soon as we get up here fully into critical mass in green, then a lot of people will actually begin moving up here, and that may take the 7 years of going through that Neptune transit and the Uranus transit. So I'm trying to educate people and also work on it myself. And hopefully together, I know we can do this. I'm actually not worried about it. I absolutely know we can do this, and that we will get through it, and we will be fine. So, but we all got to do our part, you know, to raise consciousness, raise the frequency of our consciousness and our vibrations, and that can actually neutralize those lower vibrations. So I just want to leave you with one more thing. Well, first of all, you know, do my little ad, which is please subscribe to my channel. I'm really trying to build community and get this information out into the world. And so when you subscribe, that actually helps me. It helps the algorithms. Same with clicking like on the video. That helps the algorithms, and leaving comments for two reasons. One, because it does all the activity on the videos helps with the algorithm so that my videos can get out there so people can see this information. But also, I want to know what you're thinking. You know, let me know, how does this impact you? What comes up in your mind? And what are you looking from to me and the knowledge that I have to share with you? What kind of questions do you have? What would you like to see in my videos? And that will help me get a pulse on my viewers. So, and also if you want a private reading, I'll include the link to my website so you can look into that as well. So the last thing I want to leave you with is what's called Ho'oponopono. It's a Hawaiian prayer for forgiveness. And so whenever you see, you know, if you see it in yourself, if you see that craving for, oh, I don't know, chaos, if you see enemies around you, even Trump, if you see it inside you, if you see it outside you, and you know you have it inside you too, you can heal that from the inside out. And it's incredibly powerful. And the way it works is that you just touch in with that, and you see that in yourself, and you just say, with, you know, the most sincere, honest, authentic truth you can bring to it, just say, and I'm going to say this myself, in any way that I have contributed to that energy, that I am sorry. Please forgive me. And the most important part of the prayer is thank you. I'm saying thank you to all of you, and I love you. So until next time, please, please, please share your comments and share this video, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.